Hi, Shane here. You're watching Sam for God, and this is Mark. Check her out.
Hello everyone, how's life? Welcome to another one of my videos. Today is the official release day of Raya and the Last Dragon. Obviously, because of lockdowns throughout the world right now, not only is this film being released in some cinemas around the world where they have a better handle on COVID, it's also being released on Disney Plus. However, you do have to pay for it. It's called the Disney Plus Premium, I think, something like that. Very similar to what they did with the Mulan live action film last year as well. And I decided to pay for this film and watch it because, I don't know, I just have nothing else to do. So in this video, I want to talk about some of my thoughts regarding this film. There's not going to be any spoilers, so don't worry. I just want to tell you why I loved it, because yeah, I really did enjoy it. So what I find really interesting about Raya and the Last Dragon is that prior to watching the whole film, I hadn't actually watched any of the trailers for it or anything. I knew this film was coming out, but it just wasn't really on my radar. I don't know if it's because maybe Disney haven't advertised it as much, or if I just haven't been very proactive about finding out more about it. So yeah, going into the film, I hadn't watched a single trailer. I just knew what the posters looked like. That's about it. But yeah, let's talk about the premise of the film firstly. This is a fantasy film, and it's set in a land called Kumandra. Basically, in this fantasy world, hundreds and hundreds of years ago, humans and dragons used to live together in harmony, but that's in the past. Things have changed and there's only one dragon left now, and we have our main character Raya, whose dad really wants Kumandra to become as it was before. Like, he really believes that one day it will be possible to bring this harmony and peace back into their world. That's all he really wants from his life, and Raya, obviously being kind of influenced by her dad, I guess wants the same thing. Like, she knows about this stuff, she knows about the dragons. I mean, everyone knows because dragons are very important in this world. But yeah, so we meet Raya first when she's quite young, perhaps a teenager, and without giving too much away, as with every Disney film, things end up going a little bit wrong. And so later on, when Raya grows up, I think it actually says something about 6 years later in the film, Raya, who is a warrior now, goes looking for this last dragon. It's her mission. She wants to find this last dragon because she wants to honor her dad's wishes and maybe try and relieve herself of some guilt that she may be feeling from her past. That's all I'm gonna say, but you've got the setting now. This is the world that we're working with, and I'm not normally the biggest fan of fantasy films, but I thought it worked really well. I was very much into it. I was hooked from the start about the story and really enjoyed everything about this world. Actually, there are some fantastic characters in this film, including Raya herself. I really enjoyed Raya. I thought she was so brave, so relatable in many ways, and actually quite funny too. I want to be friends with her so she can show me how to be better as a warrior, as a fighter. And yeah, that's another thing. This film has a lot of action in it, a lot of fight scenes and physical fights as well. I don't know why I did this because that's definitely not how people fight, but that's actually one thing that I thought was incredible about this film. The animation, which we're going to get to later properly, but the animation of the fight scenes was just incredibly done. Right, so we've got Raya as our main character, who is very great, funny, relatable, charismatic. I really enjoyed her, and I thought the voice acting for her was done really well as well. Raya's character is voiced by Kelly Marie Tran, and I thought she did a really good job. Then we've got the dragon, the last dragon. She's actually called Sisu, and if you've seen the trailer, you know what she looks like. She's blue, she's beautiful, she's kind of cartoony, and at first I wasn't actually sure how I felt about her because I was expecting a much more serious looking dragon. I don't know why, probably because I hadn't watched the trailers, but I quickly warmed to her, and I thought the voice acting again for Sisu was done so well. Aquafina is the voice of Sisu the dragon, and she was just hilarious, really funny. The dragon is kind of meant to be a bit of a relief from the real turmoil going on in the world, a little bit like the Olaf character in Frozen. So yeah, I really enjoyed her. I thought she was great. Then we've actually got another character called Namari, who looks phenomenal. She looks so cool. She's got her side part hair going on, and she shaved the rest of her head. She looks amazing. She's got this earring. She looks really cool. In fact, all the characters in these tribes in this fantasy world looked cool. Namari was voiced by Gemma Chan, and this is probably a good time for me to tell you that the majority of the cast in this film are actually Asian American, which I think is really good. I'm proud of Disney for making sure that they stay as authentic as possible with their castings for films like this, because although Kumandra is meant to be this fictional, fantastical world, it does have some little hints of some Southeast Asian cultures. So for instance, you get a bit of the Philippines, Malaysia, Indonesia, Thailand, Vietnam, and I kind of like the fact that it's not specific to a particular country. It just kind of overall showcases some of the beautiful cultures of that part of the world, and I love that. I thought that was really cool. Anyway, we do have some other secondary characters. For instance, there's a baby in this film, and again, without giving anything away, when I was first introduced to the baby in the film, and this happens maybe about halfway through the film, initially I was a little bit worried. I was like, I'm not quite sure how I feel about this baby, because let me tell you, the baby's not an ordinary baby. And for a few minutes I wasn't sure if I was going to like what Disney was going to do with this baby, but even the baby managed to warm my heart, and eventually I liked the baby as well. There's also another character who's a little boy, and he runs this business on a boat where he feeds people, and he's only meant to be I don't know, 11 or 12. I thought he was really cool as well. We also have another character that comes along later, towards the end of the film, a piratey guy, and again I thought he was was great. All the characters were really well done. I just wish we got to know them more, because the whole film, Raya and the Dragon, is just over an hour and a half long, which kind of makes sense. That's what most Disney films are like. But I loved the film so much and all the characters so much that I genuinely wanted more out of them. Like when the film finished, I was like, oh my god, I wish it was longer. And that doesn't happen often, honestly. My attention span is really bad, so normally I'm really happy for films to end. But like by the time they end, I'm like, oh, that's fair enough. Like, you know, it's been long enough. I'm happy to move on to something else now. But yeah, I could have easily spent more time with all the characters in this film. And that just shows how great all the characters were written, how great the voice acting was, and also how beautifully they were all animated, because honestly, the animation about this film is one of my favorite things. If I didn't know this was a Disney film, I could have easily thought it was Pixar. That is saying a lot. You all know how much I love Pixar, and I think this is Disney's best work. It was on par with a Pixar film in terms of visuals. So beautiful, so magnificent. I don't think I even have the words to explain how beautiful this film looks. I mentioned before about all the fight scenes and how realistic they look and how great the choreography looks for them. Love those. At times I thought I was watching a genuine action film, like with people, not animation. All the different tribes and the imaginary worlds that like we visit in the film are so stunning. Like they are beautiful. And again, they're all kind of influenced from Southeast Asia cultures, so you kind of get the vibe that you are in Asia. The film is kind of set in a fantasy part of Asia, and it's just stunning. It's so beautiful. I watched the film with my dad, and at times I kept going to him, oh my god, dad, I want to visit here. Can we visit here? And then I'd remember that it's actually meant to be a fantasy film and not real. But that's how beautiful the scenes look. Well done to all the animators on this film. Honestly, it was just so beautiful. Another thing I liked about this film is that there isn't really a specific villain. What keeps the film going is at first Raya's quest to find the last dragon, and then when she meets the dragon, you know, Sisu, it's about her journey into learning to become a bit more trusting of people and also to spread peace and harmony in the world. I'm making it sound too cheesy, but it's honestly not. I mean, the only cheesy person in this film actually is Raya's dad. I thought Raya's dad was animated so well. Like, he is beautiful on screen, but he's quite a boring character in my opinion, I'm not gonna lie. He's very much a serious father figure, which I mean, it's not a bad thing. It's just some of the lines that he said were very cheesy, but it worked because it was him and he looked like a person who would say such lines. But yeah, the film itself, I promise you, is not very cheesy. It's very well done. I liked how they explored the themes of trust and friendship and whether it's good or bad to trust people. I thought that was really, really nicely approached. I also love the fact that there is no love interest in this film whatsoever. Raya's not going out looking for a husband or a prince. The dragon's not trying to find out her own little dragon prince or anything of that sort. It's all about harmony and peace and families and the world, you know, a fantasy world, but still the world together, and friendship as well. Like, friendship is a bit of a theme in this as well. I really enjoyed that. Another thing about this film is that there's actually not a single song throughout the film, so it's not a musical whatsoever. Which is kind of weird for Disney animations, because normally, especially when Disney releases Disney princess film, they like to put some songs in there to make it more of a musical vibe. I actually can't remember the last Disney princess film that didn't have any songs in it. Maybe Merida, but that was Pixar, and even that has a couple of songs. Like, it's not a proper musical, but it still has that one song that Merida kind of sings. Anyway, that wasn't a problem for me whatsoever though, and I didn't even notice that there was no songs in it until maybe about 75% into the film. I was enjoying it that much even without songs, that suddenly I was like, huh, they haven't sung anything in this film. But then literally a couple of seconds later I thought to myself, I actually kind of like this. I don't mind at all. I think it's better this way. I don't think it would have worked as well with songs in it. Don't get me wrong, it's still a very musical film. Like, there's a lot of incredible music in the background throughout the film, especially in the fight scenes and when they discover new places, and the music actually in this film is phenomenal. The score is written by James Newton Howard and it is beautiful. He has also worked on films like The Hunger Games and Fantastic Beasts and King Kong, so he knows what he's doing, and I honestly adored the score for this because the score has a lot of hints of Asian culture in it as well, and it just sounds beautiful. I think that's actually why it felt a bit more like a Pixar film as well, because Pixar films don't normally rely on songs, they're more about the scores, and Raya and the Last Dragon is the same, and I loved it. Don't get me wrong, I obviously love musical songs as well, but this was just a nice change and it worked really well without songs. There really wasn't anything that I disliked about this film, like I said, apart from the baby, which initially confused me for a few seconds, and then I was like, okay, I see what you're doing, Disney, I'm okay with it. I thought it was a really enjoyable film, like entertaining, great themes, beautifully animated, great score, and it was just honestly an hour and a half of pure escapism in the best way possible. I really enjoyed this film, and I surprised myself because I just didn't expect to. I wasn't too excited about this film. Like I said, I didn't even bother watching the trailer for it because I'm just not the biggest fan of princess films anyway, and I just thought this was going to be something similar to maybe Moana or something else that we've seen before, but it's not. It's very different. It's really great. I really enjoyed it. I could easily watch it again because it's so fast-paced as well, with a lot of action, and the characters are so charming and engaging as well, and of course the animation, as I said. I mean, some of the water scenes in it are the way they've done the hair on people, the wrinkles on some of these humans. If you compare this film to like some of the first animations that Disney did digitally, I mean, this is miles ahead, and it excites me so much because there's so much possibilities now for the future to make even better films, and I'm so so excited about the future of Disney. I actually think Disney is now going into a new renaissance era, with this film being one of their first animated films in the 2020s. I loved it. I really did. Before I finish this video, let me tell you who directed this film. The film is directed by Carlos Lopez Estrada and Don Hall. This is Carlos's very first animated film, so that's pretty interesting. Well done to him, considering. And then Don Hall has been with Disney for several years, with the last film that he directed being Big Hero 6, one of my other favorites in terms of Disney animation. And this actually had a lot of Big Hero 6 vibes, so I kind of see why he directed it. It makes sense. But yeah, that's all I have to say about this. Sorry if I've been overexcited in this video, but I'm just so happy that Disney's come out with another fantastic princess film. I actually preferred this to Moana, and I love Moana. I just think this was more entertaining. There was more to it. I can watch this more. Whereas Moana, I find parts of it kind of boring. And same with Frozen 2. I love Frozen 1, and Frozen 2 has amazing songs, but if you haven't watched my review of Frozen 2, I'll put it down below. I wasn't the biggest fan of Frozen 2 as a film, and I think Raya and the Last Dragon is definitely better than Frozen 2. And I can't wait to see what they do with it, because there's so much they can do with it. They can easily use some of the dragons for the Disney parks fireworks shows perhaps in the future, or merchandise. There's going to be so many merchandise opportunities for this film. I mean, there already are some on Shop Disney, but yeah, I'm very excited. Let me know in the comments if you've watched this film, and if you have, what you thought of it. I would happily watch it again. I thought it was definitely worth the money. And yeah, I'm officially a fan of Raya and the Last Dragon. Who would have thought? Thank you so much for watching. Follow me on Instagram if you want to, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye!